The major events and religious rivals included the Second Great Awakening, was where the Methodist, the Baptist, and the Protestant groups held outdoor religious services and won new converts. The age of Jackson was during Jackson's presidency, where he made the spoils systems, the expansion of democracy, and the Jacksonian democracy. The reform movement,
starting with the educational reform. This now gave every child free public schools with children from all social classes. The temperance movement impact was to totally eliminate from alcoholic drinks. In 1851, Maine became the first state to ban the drinking of alcohol. Another movement was the women's rights movement. The focus of the women's rights movement quickly turned to securing suffrage, which was the right to vote. The prison reform started in the 1830s, and Elijah Farnham was the warden of one of the prisons in New York. She allowed prisoners to talk, open a prison library, and establish a school inside the prison to teach prisoners to read and write. Abolitionism was sought to end slavery and was one of the first reforms and would later happen in the late 1800s. The mentally ill were treated very badly because we did not know much about them. Later, Dorothy Dix led the fight to get better treatment for the mentally ill. These patients were permitted to work outdoors and enjoy recreation.
the reason for removal of Indians during the Indian Removal Act for Worcester versus Virginia and the Trail of Tears was because Jackson believed that Native Americans tribes might ally with foreign invaders. So they negotiated Cherokee removal tribes. According to the book, in 1803, a law was passed that any white person living among Indians without consent from the government will be sent to prison. This was called the Worcester versus Virginia. Therefore, the Cherokees went on an 800-mile journey to their new land with 16,000 Indians, where one-fourth of them died along the way due to exposure, starvation, and fevers. This is the Trail of Tears.
The Trail of Tears. It was a forced relocation of eastern woodland Indians in 1830. They were forced to move west of the Mississippi River. The tribes included were Cherokee, Creek, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Seminole. About 15,000 people died on the way. Some died from sicknesses, others died of dehydration, and others' feet gave out. Were benefiting from the taxes because they were getting all of the South's money. They got all of their money from buying the South's raw materials and selling it back to them from made items. The South was losing money because they were basically giving the North free money.
According to the 8th grade U.S. history textbook, the South was upset with the Tariff of 1812, also known as the Tariff of Abominations, because it put a higher tariff on goods that aren't manufactured in America, which meant the South's friendship with England would be damaged. The government didn't really care because their prime moneymaker was the North. This was significant because this revolved around the ability of a state to declare federal laws unconstitutional.
The free enterprise system is where individuals are free to produce and sell whatever they wish, and they are also free to buy and use whatever they can afford. According to the textbook, the government involvement is limited, setting rules and acting as a referee, and also collects business taxes needed for public services. As a result of this, the government is not allowed to decide how much a worker should be paid, how much they work, or what they buy, sell, and make.
The Tariff of 1828, passed by Congress, was designed to protect industry in the northern U.S., but the southern states, which sold cotton and other crops to Europe, opposed the high tariff on imports. This sparked the nullification crisis, which was when South Carolina tried to call federal law unconstitutional. There are many political, social, and military leaders during the age of Jackson, like Horace Mann, fighting for free public school for every social class. Dorothy Dix led the fight for better treatment of the mentally ill. Vice President John C. Calhoun, a leading spark man against the tariff of 1828, and Henry Clay, John Quincy Adams Secretary of State. Andrew Jackson, who was a hero in the War of 1812 and later became president.
According to the 8th grade U.S. history textbooks, one of the developments in art is Hudson River School. The school was founded in 1812 by Thomas Cole. The artists of the Hudson River School achieved fame by painting romantic landscapes. Another development was John James Audubon. He drew birds, mammals, plants, and other subjects from nature. From 1820 to 1838, he drew hundreds of species of birds, giving special attention to the relationship between animals and their habitats. One other development was Edgar Allan Poe. He perfected the art of writing suspenseful short stories. These people were significant because they helped develop the art and literature of the United States.
Steamboat. The steamboat was invented by Robert Fulton. He made this invention to make life easier for the colonists. It helped them by transporting goods and trading. The cotton gin. The cotton gin was invented by Eli Whitney. It was used to make slaves that didn't have any skills to be able to work. It was also effective in the South because they had very good weather and fertile soil. Interchangeable parts. The interchangeable parts was somewhat like an era. It was a time that workers were being replaced by machines. Machines began making the little pieces such as screws, bolts, springs, and etc. Eli Whitney took lots of pieces and created a musket, aka a old rifle.